Hi, Wayne Doorband here from Berthoud, Colorado, in what we call the cabin here in Berthoud, which is our relatively new location where we are doing our officing for most of the week. I actually spend most of my weekdays from the morning into mid to late afternoon here. Still go up to the ranch later in the day. Today's an exciting day. We have a new ranch manager that's in training, starting with us. Some of you might know him from working with us before. That's Ruben, and Ruben is going to be working up in the ranch on a regular basis and be with us there. So we're going to be starting doing this live cast using Blab, as well as potentially using Periscope and Webinar Jam, possibly even at times GoToWebinar on a daily basis, mainly to just keep you updated. We'll be having some interviews in this morning time frame, but mainly it's going to be me giving some thoughts and actually working on some projects together. So we want to give you a chance to be integrating with us to see if you could provide us some great information on some of the topics that we're working on. So this was intended to just be an orientation day today to tell you about some things. I know we've got a few people out there. Mostly it's our staff. Actually, I see Mark is online. I think maybe Teresa came online for a little bit. It doesn't look like she's on with us right now. And some of you have probably never used Blab before. You might be new to this media. We're actually going to probably use a portion of this as a intro. So as some of you know, we have a full-time videographer, and he works on both doing video live as well as making recordings, and maybe more often he does a whole lot of editing of different videos that we do in different kinds of venues. His name is Brian Lanzer, and he's been with us, almost a year and a half now, and we're excited. Mark, who's online here on our staff, has been with us coming on 3 years, which is just awesome. And anyway, that's going to be our schedule. We're going to do this at times using things like the cell phone, so I can be out walking around as we do this if I'm on the road. And when I'm here in the cabin, we'll probably be using the laptop, and we'll probably be using multiple types of platforms so that we can get the message out a little bit more broadly. So I'm going to actually take a second to do just a little bit of a promo here that we will probably take out of this and use for some promotional purposes. So here goes. Hi, Wayne Doorband here from the cabin. I'm actually doing a live cast as I'm doing this. I'd like to ask you to put it on your calendar to be with us in the mornings. We're going to be starting to do every morning sometime in the range of 6 a.m. Mountain Time to 8 a.m. We're going to do a live cast on a daily basis, and we're going to do it from wherever I'm at. If I'm here at the cabin, if I'm on the road, or if I'm not able to be the host, we have several others of our staff that will host these. We'd like to hear from you about people you'd like us to interview. We're not going to stop doing things later in the day at other times. We're still going to do that, but we're going to do this on a regular basis. And we're going to make it kind of cool because we're going to actually do some composition during these of some things that we'll use in other teaching, education, and research and development types of means. As you know, we are a very diverse group, and we're forming right now what we call the Ecolonomics Action Team, or EAT. And it's relevant because we talk about our mission being to really be two things: to teach the people how to feed themselves, teach the world how to feed itself, and to show people how to make some money making the planet better. That's essentially the slogan for the Institute of Ecolonomics, which is Dennis Weaver's slogan, said in a little different way. He used to say, we've spent thousands of years and billions of dollars screwing the planet up, and now we need to show people how they can make it better. And we're going to really be focused on doing that. So we've got some exciting things coming up. please start coming and listening to with us on this blab that we do in this live cast in the morning. We're going to be announcing it through Periscope. We'll be making go to webinar announcements at sometimes and Webinar Jam, but it'll be consistently on Blab. That'll be the one place that's really consistent. You're always going to be able to find us here. So come and visit us. Come and be with us as we do more and more and more, getting the word out about making the planet better and showing people how they can make a little bit of money doing it. Thanks, and I'll talk to you again. All right, that was the promo. So again, that was just a little back scene for you of doing a promotional for something that we're going to be moving ahead. Let me tell you about another thing that we're going to be doing on these morning Ecolonomics in Action. We are starting a new group that is, as I said earlier, called the Ecolonomics Action Team. And it's going to have several tiers of membership. And the group that you're definitely going to want to be involved in is what we call the Action Team, which is the team that is absolutely free. We want everyone in the world to be in it if possible. So please tell your friends about it. It's going to be our grassroots group of people who give us guidance, give us thoughts, give us information about what they'd like to learn more about what they have to offer. And that is going to be communicated through a Facebook group that we start that will be a closed group, and you will have to ask to join it. However, unless you're doing something in a spammy sort of way, we'll accept you as a member. And we're going to use Facebook as our communication tool for you to be able to integrate anytime you want, any time of the day or night, whenever it feels good to you. And we want the integration, we want the communication to be really between all of you, amongst all of you, with us being there as you need us to be. We don't really want to lead it. Instead, we want you to take advantage and do it in a way that you would do it for your own, as if it was your group. We want you to look at it that way. And so we believe that over time, there might be tens of thousands of members of that Facebook group, Ecolonomics Action Team, as we get it started. And again, remember the acronym EAT has some relevance because, again, we're looking to help teach people how to feed themselves as a part of this making the planet better activity that we have. So I'm also going to do a little promo for that right now. So let's just go ahead and do that. Again, if you have questions, anybody that might be online here with us live, or if you would like to click in on the and check out some of the things as we talk on the replay, because this will be available as a replay. I'm going to put down here where you're going to be able to find it on a replay. Right now, it'll be on the website, but it'll also be in other places moving ahead. So that website is http://ecolonomics.org. And I don't know why, but I seem to have blanked out here. Not sure what happened there. That's interesting. So Mark looks like he put it in also. Mark, are you seeing me now? It is a little bit weird because I don't see myself, and I'm going to refresh. Wow, you still see me. So it's weird because I'm going to refresh here real quick. And I don't know why I stopped seeing myself there, but I did. Mark still was seeing me, he said, as he was out there. And Mark, thanks for helping with this. You know, I do think that if in certain mornings that you're able to be with us, you can help me with this. This will be great. We'll talk a little bit more about it on our call later today. As I told everybody, Mark is one of our staff, and actually we have daily calls. Mark is virtual. He's not here with me in the cabin, or else I'd bring him on in. And as a matter of fact, why don't I open up a seat for him if he wants to? Sometimes his signal's not the greatest. Mark is in Bangladesh, And so if he'd like to come on, that would be great. And we can have him be sitting here, and he's obviously helping also. It looks like he is calling in. So I'm going to ask, and I'm going to put him on. And he is coming on in now. This is such a cool media because here we are. Mark and I are going to be on.
Good morning, Wayne. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Mark's in Bangladesh. It is 12 hours different. Is that right, Mark? Or are we 11?
12 hours, yes.
So
12 hours.
7:30 in the evening in Bangladesh.
Yes, sir.
Which is one of the reasons why we're doing this in the morning here now, because we really want to get viewers all over the world. Mark, you're going to be giving the message to your friends in Pakistan and Bangladesh and in India and all over the world. Mark is a world traveler, but he's based now in Bangladesh, and he can be putting the word out in that part of the world.
Sure.
As I said, I was going to start another little promo that I want to do here. Mark, I'm going to actually probably knock you out for just a second because it's going to be easier for Mark to edit this, for Brian to edit this if just me is on the screen. So then I'll bring you back in right after I'm done with this little promo. So I'm going to knock Mark out for a second, and we'll bring him back in just a little bit. So here's another promo. Hi, everybody. Wayne Dorban here, right in the middle of actually one of our live casts from the cabin, which is really cool. Look at the wood here. This is a really cool old building in Berthoud, Colorado that we now have as one of our offices here in this area. We also have an office out at the ranch. I don't know if you hear it in the background. I hope it's not too much, but we're close to a railroad track and a trucking depot, so there's a little bit of background sound. But anyway, here's the promo. Hi, everybody. Wayne Dorban. I'd like you to know about something exciting that we're now doing. We are doing live education and course preparation work. And we're going to do a little bit of it here today, actually. We're going to be writing courses online, and we're going to use the material that we put online that you'll be able to watch through recordings on our sites. We're going to be able to, hey, Mark, hey, Mike, how you doing? This is not an alpaca session. We're actually doing a brand new webinar and live cast that we're doing on a daily basis every morning. And I was just giving a little promo for it. And I'm going to start that over again. Hi, Wayne Dorban here from Berthoud, Colorado, where we're starting to do a very cool live cast on a daily basis. And it's going to be one where we look for interaction with our community. And Michael, if you'd like to throw any questions at us, we'd love to hear them. Again, this is something that we are going to be doing broadly on a daily basis. But the thing I want to let you know about today is that almost every one of these we're going to do, there's going to be a little education about a topic. We're actually writing course material online as well as in writing. And link emailed for live of got you in a Russian chat. That's kind of cool. How did that happen? So the email that you got put you into another one, or something that you got about this? That would be kind of weird. Throw me an answer out there if you've got it. Got about this, huh? And so the link took you to another. That is really weird. We're going to have to figure that out, because the only thing we've sent out for advertisements on this, and it probably came as a notification, would have been through Twitter or Facebook. And obviously that means that they weren't linking to the right location. That's very strange. Anyway, we'll have to figure that out. This is not without its glitches. As everybody knows, Blab is still in a beta form, and there are new things that we see on here all the time. But we only have about 10 minutes left in what we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to start doing some of that education that I talked about of writing a book. And the book that we're writing right now is about fish farming. And we're actually writing two of them. We're writing one about shrimp farming and about fish farming. So what I'm going to start out today with is talking about what are some of the first things you should do if you're going to be thinking about a local or small fish farm at your home or at your property that you have control over, something that you could use to produce edible fish or ornamental fish for your own consumption or your own use. So I had a question today from a fellow in Zimbabwe who is looking to get, as he says, from A to Z, the information about how he can do a small fish farm at his properties, at his house. And he said, I've got 5 meters by 2 meters of land that I want to be able to dig a hole and to make a fish farm like location for myself. And my first answer for him, and the first thing he really should think about, is don't do it without giving it a lot of thought. Don't just go out and dig a hole. I don't know about you, but I have done so many things in my creative life where I've made an effort at something without thinking at all about it first. I just got excited about it. Now, that's not wrong to do at some level, but when you're digging a hole in the ground, you're doing something that's got some kind of long-term lifetime to it. So let me give you a couple examples of things that I've done, little stories that were a little bit screwy that created really a problem for me and actually got me discouraged about why I was doing them. So I dug a hole one time, much bigger than 5 meters by 2 meters. Actually, it was about 5 meters circle, because this was a place that I was going to put in an above ground swimming pool. I was going to put it below ground so that I could really beat the system and not have to pay all the money for an underground pool. I was going to put this above ground pool underground. So I dug the hole. And at that time, I didn't have any big equipment. I dug it with a shovel by hand. And I dug it probably about 36 inches deep. I think the pool was a 30-inch side on it. We had young children at the time and got it all dug. I put the pool inside of it. And I think I did think about padding underneath it a little bit, which was smart. And then I decided that I would fill in a little bit around the outside of it. And this was a pool that I bought at a local discount store that would just typically be used above ground. And I had used it above ground for the season before, and it worked just fine. And now I wanted to put it underground. And I, as I said, filled in soil around it, and not to where it was tight on it, because I thought about that. And I thought, I think that if we got some rain or something else, it could sort of push on it unevenly and potentially cause it to collapse. I did this on, let's just say, a Saturday. Well, sure enough, we got rain on like a Tuesday of the following week. And I had already filled the pool in. It already had water in it, which I thought, okay, it's going to, the weight of that water and the pressure of the water is going to maintain the integrity of the pool. Well, was I wrong? Because I hadn't thought about the fact that if some kind of water or other pressure came in around the outside of it, that it wouldn't be even, and it would put uneven pressure on the pool in different locations, causing some potential issue. Well, yeah, there was a potential issue. It just totally collapsed. And all of a sudden I just had a big hole full of water with a broken pool. And now I had to figure out how to get the water out of the hole, which it drained out over time. And then I had to take my broken pool out of the hole. And now I had a big hole in the ground without a pool. I'd already failed once. Frankly, I never put the pool back in the hole again. And I don't remember how long it was afterwards. And I probably finished filling the hole back in. So again, my idea was a good one, and I could have done it in the right way. But here's the point. I didn't think about it a lot and what I was going to do with it before I did it. So now back to creating a fish pond. If you're going to dig a hole in the ground for a fish pond, there's a whole bunch of things you really need to think about. One of them is one I just mentioned, which is you can't have it collapse. So you should know something about your soil. You could go get some money to get a test done. I don't think you need to do that. You probably know something about your soil, but I would do a little bit of a test. And before you dig the 5-meter sized pool, I'd dig a really small one. Dig one that's maybe a couple feet or less than a meter around, and maybe 12, a third of a meter deep. I've got to watch it because, as you know, here in the United States, we use the English system for measurement, and everywhere else in the world, almost everybody watching is probably going to be from all over the world, use the metric system. So I'll try to make sure I talk mainly metric. But so let's say you dig a hole that's a meter. Don't worry about whether it's circular or square, the dimensions of it, because the whole point of this is to see how porous your soil is. So dig something that's about a meter by probably a third of a meter deep, and fill it with water and just see what happens to it. Watch it, observe it over several days. And I'm giving another little bit of a hint here you're going to hear it throughout this course, which is if you're going to be a fish farmer in your own location or on a much bigger basis, one of the ways that you're going to fail if you don't think about what I'm going to say next is that if you're not willing to be a observer, you will fail. You have to learn how to observe that circumstance all the time. Mike just gave something about in Wisconsin, we need to consider a special depth or method to keep from freezing. Yeah, we'll talk about that a lot later because that's very important. But for right now, let's just think about whether we can even hold water in our soil or whether we're going to need to do something else about that. So do this little test hole, put water in it, and just see how porous your soil is. My guess it's going to be too porous to be able to have just the soil alone be able to be your liner. Now, that's not always the case. If you're in a really high clay composition soil, you actually could have a pond that will hold water without having to put any kind of a liner in it. So that's why I want you to try it. If you know that your soil is incredibly porous, it's sandy, again, you're going to find out that water will leak out of that hole within hours, even certainly within a day or so. But if you see that water is staying in that hole you dug for multiple days, then you might not have to do any kind of a lining at all, which would be wonderful if that was the case. So I want you to do the test first. Do a test hole for your pond. Let's assume your pond held. Let's stay and go down this track for a minute. Let's say that water is still there a couple days later. You haven't had any other rain events that have occurred during that time, and it's still got water in it. There's going to be some evaporation, by the way. So if the water level is going to go down, depending on the time of the year, and we're going to get to what's a good time of the year to be putting in a pond here just as we end this today. And by the way, we're going to go for about another 3 or 4 minutes. And I see Mike brings up a good point about mixing. We're going to talk about that also. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's say the pond held, that you didn't see very much water leaving. So if you have about a meter size, and it's let's say the weather is 20 degrees C or so on an average, and you're looking at it over a 2 or 3 day period, and I might even go for as long as a week and keep watching it. If you're only seeing that water level go down a centimeter or so at a time, that's because of evaporation, and it isn't because of any leakage. Now, another thing you could do, interestingly, is you could put a little tarp on the top of it, which if it's going to be raining on a regular basis, you might want to do that anyway. So you can take a piece of plastic that you get from a trash bag, and you can put that over the top, make it tight, so that if it does rain, that it doesn't collapse into the pond. And that way you'll be able to even eliminate the potential that it's evaporation that is taking water out of that hole as you're looking at it and trying to determine whether your pond's going to leak or not. Now, there's going to be one more step, because I'm going to have you go deeper with the next hole. I'm going to have you do a second hole, because if it's holding, then that means it's holding for 1/3 of a meter in depth. And you're going to want your pond to be deeper than 1/3 of a meter for any and all purposes. I don't think you want one that's that shallow, even if you have really a situation where you don't have to worry about being so deep that it won't, what we call winter kill, because of freezing that would occur on the surface. So let's assume that it held water. Now you're going to need to take the water out of it, or you can dig another pit, actually. And that's what I would do. I would assume that this first little test pit that you did is now going to be a part of what becomes your pond, for your fish pond. And now dig another pit close to it, and again in the same footprint that you're thinking about for putting the pond in, and make this one the same depth that you're intending to make your pond. And the reason we want to do that is because your soil might change. It might be very sound and not have any leakage at 1/3 of a meter. But if you get down to a meter depth, which is probably what I would recommend for something in a setting that will last for a long time for you, I would think about a meter being the depth. Again, if it's going to be in a place like Wisconsin, where one of our viewers just mentioned, it's going to be at least 2 meters and probably even a little bit more than that, because in the winter, you're going to get as much as maybe 18 inches of ice, maybe even more. And you want to have some depth below that ice, that if you're going to leave fish in there through the winter, which you may or may not want to do if you have a location in the world where you do have freezing. I might recommend that you actually harvest before winter if you even have any worry at all about winter killing, or move the fish to some indoor location. So our first message, and we're going to end here today, is about doing some test pits. Now I'm going to end with one last little bit. One of the reasons I want you to do that is that while those pits are in place, and you should be able to get this little pit digging done and test done in a week or so. So we're not losing a lot of time. You can still be impetuous. You can still get things done quickly. I'd like you to use that time while you have the free time to be just thinking about all the other things you're going to need to be doing. I'm going to give you a guide in the instruction in our course here. You're going to get a lot of information that you're going to need to do this. But really be thinking again, do I really want to be doing this? Because if you figure out in the process that you don't, it's not failure to stop. You've been a little bit like Thomas Edison. You took one of those 10,000 ways in which you were thinking about something that was going to make the world great, and you found out that it didn't work. And so now you need to try another one. Again, remember, failing is not bad. I can see I've got some light shining in that's shining right on me here. Let me end with this. Failing is not bad. Failure, which means quitting, is what you don't want to do. Failing is the way that you learn and that you get better. So that's it for a little bit for the book today. What we're going to do is we're actually going to transcribe this. And remember, it's speaking, and we'll be taking and editing a lot of things out. But we'll have a chapter in our course it'll be in a book, and it'll also be in a course about planning for your fish farm on your small location, which is, this course is going to be about fish farming on a home-based scale. And that won't be the title, but it'll be something like that. Yeah, Mike put another cool thing. Michael Jordan averaged 78 shots per game with an average of 38. And my system just told me that I've got something coming up. So I got to look at that. 35 points made per game. He called this the basis of success. Yeah, in baseball, we consider anybody a success that's a batter if they're hitting over 300. That means that 7 out of 10 times they get out. They don't do what they hope to do. So success is determined to be a 30% rate of not failing. So anyway, thanks to everybody. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mike. We're going to advertise these a little bit more broadly. Again, we'll be doing them regularly in the mornings. And we'll have guests various times. Right now, I wanted to do this one to get started, just to, as I said, do some promos and to start talking a little bit about our course and our book on fish farming. So everybody have a great day, and I'll figure out about why you got sent to a Russian site, Mike. We're going to get scheduled. Hey, if you've got any speakers, by the way, Mike, this is for you. I'm going to stop recording here.